Hey guys, good morning. Alright, so we have been talking about that letter A sound is what we've been working on in phonics this week. And if you remember, there are lots of different ways to make that A sound, and that's called a long A. When you hear the A, that's called a long A. And the first way we talked about was, remember, if they have that sneaky E at the end of it, how it's got an A and then it skips a letter and has a sneaky E, like this one has an A, skips a letter, has a sneaky E. That's called it has a sneaky E, and it has that A sound. See, ka-ain, ate. We also have the word same. It makes that A sound. And we also had vein, like a weather vane on top of a barn. The rest of these words here would all have short A. Short A just says ah, but long A says its name. Another way that we talked about the last few days was about the letters AI and AY. AI and AY also say A. And I remember Shay, she helped us remember that if you hear A at the end of the word, it's probably going to be an AY in that word, because AY is always at the end. But if it's in the middle of the word, it's going to be an AI. And anytime you see AI or AY, it's also going to make that A sound, like sta-a or sta-ain. It's going to make that A sound. But do you know that there are lots of other ways to make that A, long A sound? There is. Take a look at these words. All of these words also say A. They have that long A sound. See? Ate, what ate, and sla-a. They all say A. But what says A in these words? I don't even see an A in these words. How can it say A if there's no A? Well, these ones do. So what says A? Yeah, it's E-I-G-H. See? Ate. E-I-G-H. What? A. Sla. A. What? Ate. They say A. And this is like when the doctor weighs you at the doctor, or he checks your weight, and that just means how much do you weigh. And I know you know this is the number 8, and that's like a sleigh that Santa rides in. Santa in his sleigh. So good, these all have that A sound too. But they have E-I-G-H. That, I agree, that is very strange since they don't even have A's. But we need to know that E-I-G-H also can say A, like in ate and weigh and weight and sleigh. There aren't very many words that have E-I-G-H though. Oh, I just thought of another one. Let's see if you can read this word since we know that E-I-G-H says A. There's some of it. Here's the rest. What's this word I'm writing? Yeah, look. N-A-B or neighbor. Neighbor, like the person who lives beside you. Neighbor. So good. I thought of another one. Neighbor has E-I-G-H. I know that's really tricky. Well, if you think that's tricky, look at these words. Do these words also say A? They do, don't they? Ate, steak, like a big steak you might eat for dinner. But air and what air? And I had to think a long time about bear and where. But if you listen, they really do say A. Ba-air. Air. It's there. You have to listen, but they do say A. So what says A in these words? Yeah, it's the E and the A in these words. You're right. The EA says A, and I know that doesn't really make sense either, because when two vowels go walking, we're supposed to hear the first one, but we don't in these words. We hear the A, but air, ate, and steak. But again, there aren't very many words that have EA making the A sound. These are just the couple that we need to know. All right, and there is one more way for letters to make the A sound. Look at these words. They, survey, hay, obey, and pray. And this is like the animal that's a prey. Like when an animal's being hunted, it's the prey. That's that kind of prey. And this hay is like if you're saying, hey, what's up? How you doing? That's that kind of hay. Not the animal hay, but this kind of hay. So what says hay in these words? What says A? Yeah, EY. How crazy is that? It doesn't have an A either. But EY also can say A, like in pray and obey and hay and survey and they. It can say A. We have to remember when we're spelling the word they especially. A lot of kids are really bad to spell they, T-H-A-Y. But they does not have an A in it. It has an E-Y. Or I've seen a lot of you, even in your messages, when you're sending messages back and forth to each other in teams, a lot of times you'll say, hey, how you doing? But you spell it with an A. But that's not correct. If you're talking about, hey, how you doing, you need to have an EY, not an AY. So we have talked about lots of different ways to make that A sound, that long A. We can have EY, like in these words. You can have EA, like in these words. You can have EIGH, like in these words. Or you can even have AI or AY, like in these words. Lots of different ways. I know that's confusing. We're going to practice that just a little bit today. So this is kind of your lesson. We're going to do it together in the video, okay? So get you a piece of paper. And we're going to do a few of these together and a few of them on your own. So you'll need a piece of paper or your board or whatever to write on because you're going to do them with me in the video. So go ahead and you can pause me while you go find what you need. Alright, so I'm going to do some of these together, so we're not ready to start yet. But I'm trying to make the word hay because this blank is where the A sound's going to be. But remember, there were two kinds of hay. There was like an animal eats hay, and then there was like hay that means kind of high. So if I was talking about the animal that eats hay, or the hay that the animal eats, do you guys remember how to spell that kind of hay? Yeah, it was AY. That's the animal eats hay. But how did we spell like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, it was the EY. So both of these say hey, they say A, but it was just different ways to do it. That's what we're going to be doing in our little lesson here. You're going to have to fill in the blank with what letters make the A sound in these words, okay? So here is the first one. This is going to be number 1. So on your paper or your board, write number 1. I'm going to write it down too, so when I'm ready to check, I'll know which one I gave you. Alright, so this is going to be the word sleigh, like Santa's sleigh. Do you remember what letters make the A sound in sleigh? Like the sleigh and the reindeer? You can pause it while you write the word sleigh for number 1. Make sure you've got the right letters to say A. Alright, this one's going to be number 2. And now we're going to be trying to make the word they, like they are over there. What letters would I put here to make the they, to make the word they? What letters are in they? Okay, I'm going to go to number 3. And this is going to be the word 8. And I've got 2 blanks here because there are 2 kinds of 8. Remember, there's 8, that's the number. That's this one right here, like the number 8. And then there's like I ate my food, and it had a sneaky E. So what would I need to do to make both 8s? So for number 3, you need to have both of the 8s wrote down there, like the number 8, which is the first one, the number 8. What would I need to put here to say 8? And then what would I have to put here to make this one say ate, like I ate some food? All right, number 4, and this is going to be the word sail. Well, I don't have to put 2 4s. This is going to be the word sail, and I've got 2 sails here because there's 2 different kinds of sail. This is like when I sail in my boat, or my boat has a sail. What would I need to put here to make this say sail? What letters make the long A sound in like a sailboat? And then this one has a sneaky E, and this is like when you're going to buy something and it's on sale. What would I need to make the other sail? Because there's a sail that's a boat, and then there's a sail when you buy something. What would go in the blanks to make both of these words have long A? All right, number 5. This is going to be the word pain, of course, because remember the blank is for the A sound. What would I put in the blank to make that say pain? Like, oh, I have a pain in my head. Do you remember what would say A in pain? All right, number 6 is going to be the word okay. Like, okay, we can do that. Do you remember what would go at the end of okay to make it say A? Okay. What would say A in okay? All right, and this is number 7, and if you notice, there are 2 preys for number 7, because there's the prey, that is the animal, like when something's getting hunted or eaten, it's the prey. And then there's the kind of pray that you do in church, like you're going to pray in church. So does anybody know what kind of pray this one goes? You're going to write the word pray, and remember, this is the prey that's the animal. Like the hunter was hunting his prey. What letters say A? And then the other pray is like when you pray in church. It was something different. There was 2 different kinds of pray, and they're both spelled different. They have different letters that say A. All right, now we got number 8. There are 2 kinds of break. Like we have, like when I break something, like, oh no, she broke my dish. I don't know. When you break something, it was spelled some way. And this is like the break in the car. So how would I spell like I break something up here? Like something gets broken, it's break. And then down here, this is like a brake when you have to hit the brake in the car. And if you notice, it has a sneaky E. So what would go there to make the sneaky E? And then we've got number 9, which is steak. Number 9 is steak, and this is like when you eat a steak. It's that meat that you eat. So what would go in steak to make this say ache? Steak. And then this one is the other kind of steak, like when you have to put a stake in the vampire's heart to kill him. That's the only thing I could think of. You put a stake in the vampire's heart, it's got a sneaky E, so what would go there to make steak? There are 2 different kinds of steak, and they're spelled different. And then that is the end, so we only had 9. All right, you're going to take a picture of your paper, and you will send it to me, attach it to this, and we'll practice making that A sound with different letters.